everyone, welcome back to Remarks with Republicans. Today's episode features a Hancock County forum where candidates and community members came together to talk about the issues that matter most here at home. Our goal is simple, giving voters a chance to hear directly and make up their own minds. So let's dive on in.
1, 2, 3, Yeah. Whoa, hey.
Remarks with Republicans is starting right now.
Hello and welcome to the 2026 Candidate Forum. My name is Audrey Hall. I am the chairman of the Hancock County Republican Central Committee, and I will be your moderator for this evening. Can everybody hear me okay, first of all? Yeah, good? Okay, great. All right. All county and state district candidates that are going to be on the ballot in the March 17th primary were invited to attend and speak with us this evening. I would first like to thank the candidates who are in attendance. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you showing your constituents that answering their questions is a priority for you. I would also like to thank everyone that submitted questions for this evening's event. We had quite a few submissions. It was awesome. It was great. I hardly had to come up with any questions on my own. It was wonderful. So we greatly appreciate that. If you submitted a question and you do not hear it worded exactly as you submitted it, please understand that we did have to reword some of the questions in order to provide clarity or protect privacy. And then we also got some duplicate questions too. So, we had to kind of, obviously only ask one of those. So the format for this evening will be as follows. We're going to have, each candidate will come up, we'll have an opening statement. They will have up to 2 minutes to, introduce themselves, talk about why they're running, their credentials if pertinent, and their priorities for the voters. Then we're going to have the question round, 1 minute each question, and then the closing statement of 1 minute for each candidate. For the contested races, candidates will take turns answering questions first, so they'll both be up here, but they'll take turns answering questions first. Unfortunately, we do only have one podium and one microphone, so it's going to be taking turns kind of stepping up and stepping back, from the mic or passing the mic back and forth. Our only exception to this format of questioning will be for our county board members. For the county board, we will ask each county board member to come up, introduce themselves, what district they're running in and why they're running for election or re-election, and each county board member will have 3 minutes to speak. Chad here is our timekeeper. So for the candidates, he will be holding up green when they are allowed to talk. When there gets to be 15 seconds left, he'll hold up the yellow paddle, and then when the time is up, he will hold up the red paddle. If they start to go 10 to 15 seconds over on time, he will start waving it, and then that means, okay, you really got to stop now, okay. And then I'll just have to come up and wrestle the mic away from you. So, and I'm not feeling super strong, so please don't make me do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first we will have the county board. For those of you that are not aware, Hancock County has 5 county board districts. Each district has 3 representatives for a total of 15 county board members. There are maps like this spread around on the tables. I think each table should have a map. So if you do not know what district that you are in, please take a look at the map. You're welcome to take this map home with you if you want, but it is also on the county board's website. So if you want to look that up, it's, the county board website actually has a lot of really good information. So that's on there if you want to look that up. But it is good to know what district you are in if you don't know. Each candidate represents one of the 5 districts. So only the county board candidates representing your district will be on your ballot. So for example, if you are in Walker Township, you are in District 3, so there won't be any candidates that are running in District 4 or 5 on your ballot. Only the county board candidates running in District 3 will be on your specific ballot. So just so that everybody understands that. So for county board candidates, we've got Tom Rogers from District 3. If you could come up and introduce yourself. Yeah, and there's stairs over here if you'd rather, but I know you got long legs, so you're good.
Well, I'm Tom Rogers, and I'm candidate for board from District 3. Where am I running? Somebody's got to do it. Actually, Audrey tricked me. She told me I didn't have to make a speech. so I really wasn't prepared to make a speech. She told me that they had some questions addressed to the county board. So if anybody's got any questions, now's your chance to ask, because I'll answer them. Might be I don't know, but I'll answer them. Well,
Don't be shy.
so, I carry that little thing around, like Audrey said, so I can remember who I'm supposed to represent. I'm from Warsaw, and that's where District 3 starts, and it is Wilcox, goes across the bottom of the county, and goes up, picks up Bear Creek. So most of my constituents are farmers. Now about half of them live in Warsaw, so they're not farmers. But more than half of them are in primarily rural areas. And I've been reminded that farmers support the county. They pay most of the taxes. We got to represent them, not just the people living in the cities. No questions? Well,
Tom, what are some of the other towns in your, I'm not from down there. I know Warsaw. Is there any other little towns?
well, it goes south, Sutter. I don't know that Chili, that's the one that's the far west. Does anybody know what the biggest town in Chili is? Really, Warsaw is the third largest town in the county, and it's only got almost 1,800 people. Our biggest city is Hamilton. That's got about 3,300, and Carthage has about 2,200. How the districts get set up is federal requirements require to have an equal distribution of the voting population. So that's what we know. He's waving his red sign, so you missed your chance. Any other questions?
What do you think about side-by-sides on county roads if you paid for a permit to do it?
I'm not sure what a side-by-side is.
Like like a UTV or ATV.
The
Gators.
Four-wheelers, gators.
They're like off-road golf carts.
Oh, you're talking about recreational vehicles on the county roads? Actually, I think people ought to be able to ride bicycles down the roads. So maybe that answers your question. You know, the speed limit's 55 miles an hour, but that don't mean you have to go that fast. You know, we'd all be a lot better off if we were like the Chinese and rode bicycles. Well, that's it.
Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah, stairs right there.
Try not to fall.
Thank you, Tom. Remind us real quick, how long have you been on the county board?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's been a long time, and we appreciate all of your good service to the county board. Running in District 5, we have Leanne Lambert.
I'm going to use the stairs so I don't make a fool out of myself.
Good idea. I'm probably going to trip on this cord at some point.
Good evening. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm Leanne Lambert. I've lived in Carthage since 2012, and I'm running for re-election for District 5. This will be my second term, so I have served, and I've really enjoyed my time there. The reason I'm running, I used to be very skeptical of politics. I had my opinions, and I kind of just was a fuddy-duddy and set and was like, things need to change, things need to change. Well, things won't change unless you get involved and you start doing things that you can do to make things better. So running for county or being on county board for the first term was an experience of learning how to do things, and I feel now with the re-election I can really jump in and really make a difference. I've been in Carthage, as I said, since 2012. I was an educator for 18 years. My son and my husband and I really enjoy our life we have here. We have a business. We try to be involved in many different things. My son's on the fire department, so I like to support things like that. We're a very patriotic family that just loves having the opportunities that we have here in America. So my time on the county board will be spent listening to people. The first term has been interesting because I'm so new that people don't realize I'm on the board, and I'm hoping now people will know, hey, she's on the board. We can get a hold of her about stuff because I want to hear people's opinions. The whole purpose of being on county board is to represent. So I'm an open door. Look for my name on the ballot in March 17th, and I would be happy to serve once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. We've also got Parrish Young running for the District 5 County Board position. Just to clarify, there are 2 seats open, so Parrish and Leanne are not running against each other. There's 2 seats, 2 candidates, so not competition.
Hi, I'm Parrish Young. I've lived in Hancock County and around Carthage almost all my life. And I've been in business. I've had a masonry business and have sold out. And I'm a general superintendent for a large construction company here in Illinois. And I set up work and manage multiple projects and multi-million-dollar projects. And I guess that's why I'm running for county board, because I figured that I would like to take a lot of what I get from work and use to kind of help the county out. I like to be involved in stuff. I'm vice president of the Lions Club. I'm on the Carthage Township board. I'm a trustee. And I just like to try to give back to the community as much as I can. So if anybody's got any questions for me, I can answer them real quick too. So. But if not, I appreciate all your support.
Thanks, Parrish.
Thank you, Parrish. Okay. Next, we're going to do our state senate race, 47th district, Neil Anderson. Everybody's too scared to run against you. They know that there's no way they can beat you. So I will ask a question. We'll go through the same format. You'll get, I'll go ahead and let you have your 2 minutes for the opening statement, and we'll dig into questions.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Audrey, and thanks everybody for being here. I can't tell you how important it is that you guys are here and involved in the process. Apathy is what's killing our country and our state, and seeing people involved is really encouraging and important. For those of you that don't know me, I'm State Senator Neil Anderson. I live in Andalusia, Illinois, which is west end of Rock Island County, right on the river. It's a little river town, about 800 people. It's where Snowstar is, the skiing mecca of Illinois. Been married for 24 years this year. We have 2 kids. Our oldest is 21 years old. Started his own business here about a year ago. Super proud of him. And then our daughter is 13, and she is going to be a brilliant kid. Super smart, super athletic. She's a travel softball kid, so when I'm not doing this, that's where I'm somewhere in the country with travel softball. And we homeschool our daughter because I will not allow my kids to be educated in the state of Illinois in the public school system. Outside of that, I'm a professional firefighter by trade. I've been with the city of Moline for 20 years as a firefighter paramedic. Still do that because unfortunately I'm one of the only legislators in the state that refuse both the pension and the health care benefits because this is a service, this is not a career. Outside of that, the things that are near and dear to me that you need to know, I'm a huge advocate of abortion, abolitionist, pro-life advocate, and a huge Second Amendment advocate. And the things that I can bring that I fight for you down there is obviously fiscal responsibility, but I think everybody in here understands that Democrats have the supermajority in the House and the Senate, and a lot of times I'm not willing to compromise because the truth is the truth, and I'm just going to vote no. So looks like that's all my time because Chad's waving things at me. So I got a lot more to say, but we can do that later. So thank you.
Thanks. All right. Actually, if you don't mind, we'll just pass this back
Sure.
and forth.
Sure.
Well, actually,
I probably don't need a microphone. Thomas
maybe-
Jefferson didn't need one. I probably don't need one.
maybe not. This is kind of stuck, and I don't know that I'm smart enough to get that unstuck. So, oh, but Chad is. Show off. Thank you, Chad. Okay. How does an Illinois senator assist a constituent in accessing government services?
Yeah, that's a good question. And when people call our office, that is 99% of the time, that is what we're doing. Somebody has an issue with a state service, a state department, and our job is to navigate the minutia for them and make it easier. So somebody is trying to get their FOID card renewed and they're having an issue, they call us. We try to take care of that, and that's one thing I pride myself on is constituent services. That's what we're here for, that's what we do. The best advice I have for you, if you have an issue that's state related, with licensing, with anything like that, call us. Don't try to do it yourself. Just give us a call. We will help you through all that. But that is the majority of the things we do, and we try to do it well.
Great. Thank you. All right. You live in a pretty conservative district, and you typically have pretty conservative values. Have you considered joining the Illinois Freedom Caucus? Why or why not?
Yeah, so I'm always willing to consider it. I've never been asked. But I asked, I served with Darren Bailey when he was in the Senate, and everybody in this room knows Darren Bailey is pretty conservative. And I asked Darren one time, I said, hey, why aren't you part of the Freedom Caucus? And he said, you know, Neil, he said, I've thought about it, but he said the one thing that kind of slows me down to it is if you join the Freedom Caucus, then you wear that badge, and if you're trying to get something done that people aren't willing to talk to you about because you wear the badge of the Freedom Caucus, it becomes more difficult. I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that, but I understand it given how things are done in Springfield. But to answer the question, I'm always willing to consider it, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. One more question for you. All right. State Representative Noreen Hammond's voting record has become very liberal, and much of her donor money comes from Democrat unions, whereas your voting record has been consistently conservative. Given that you have had a strong working relationship with Noreen in the past, is that something that is changing since you seem to be going in different political directions?
Well, here's one thing I'll say is I don't tell other electeds how to do their job, and they don't tell me how to do my job. I try to do what's best for you, which is why I spend a lot of time at pancake breakfasts, things like this, because I am a representative of you. That seat down in Springfield that I sit at and vote, that's your seat, that's not mine. I'm just the one willing to be held accountable for it. Everybody is held accountable at elections, and that happens every cycle. So if you take issue with that, I urge you to call me, call your state representatives, ask them questions. You may not like the answer, but they should be willing to answer any question you have. If you have a representative that doesn't answer the phone and call you back, I'm going to need just a couple more seconds here, Chad.
We'll give it to you.
If you call my office and you have a question and my chief of staff can't answer it, and you say, I want to talk to Neil, you will get that conversation, whether it's in person or it's on a phone call. I did 3 of them this morning. I do them all. I will always get back to you. May not be the same day, may not even be the same week, especially starting session here. But I will always get back to you, and that's what you should demand of your state representatives. And before I stop, sorry, Chad, to your question about side-by-sides, I'm the author of a bill to legalize side-by-sides. So keep doing that too. So, thank you.
Sweet. Thank you. I do have a quick follow-up for you on that. All right. How do we excite the Republican base, given that the Republican Party has been shrinking the last several election cycles?
That's a great question, and I'm going to tell you right now, I've made mistakes as an elected official, and I own those. And in my process here, I would say in the last 4 or 5 years of continuously being sanctified by Christ, I veer more and more towards we just need to tell the truth, because the truth is the truth, and there's no middle ground. And I think we see Republicans getting more wishy-washy and trying to fit in rather than just telling the truth. If the truth offends, then let it offend. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not public yet, but it's going to be very soon. I'm introducing an abortion abolition bill. It's going to be very controversial. It's an equal protection bill, because the truth is the truth. If we agree that abortion is murder, then the murderer should be held accountable, and that's the truth, that's the biblical truth, and that's where we need to stay, and it's the same with every issue. Again, I'll say it again, if the truth offends, let it offend.
Great. All right. So you've got 1 minute for your closing statement if you want to give a closing statement.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you, Chad, for not hurting me. We're going over a couple seconds.
What makes you do this?
I know, it's all her fault.
I know, I was like,
No, I'll just end with this, because it is the most important thing, and I end every speech that I give with this. This is all important, what we do in here, who we vote for. Vote for the person that's going to tell the truth. And as long as I have this position as an elected official, I will always use this position to spread the gospel. Because where we spend eternity is the most important thing for us. And if I can bring just one person to Christ, then it's all worth it, and everything else is by the wayside. So I'll tell you guys, just like I tell everybody, if you aren't absolutely sure where you're going to go when you die, please talk to me. I would love to share the gospel with you and share the good news. So thank you.
thank you, Neil. I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed that you didn't end with a joke, because your jokes are really good.
You didn't give me enough time.
Uh-huh. Sure. All right. The next race that we've got is Hancock County Treasurer. And we've got 2 candidates running for Hancock County Treasurer. It'll be Deb Roskamp and Shannon Kissinger. So both of you come up. All right, so we're going to start with Shannon, since your name appears on the ballot first. Go ahead and give your opening statement. 2 minutes.
I have to hold it, huh?
Yeah, or you can put it up there if you want.
That's okay.
Do you want me to hold it for you?
No, thanks, I'm okay. All right, I'm Shannon Kissinger. I am the current Chief Deputy Treasurer. I work for the current treasurer, Chris Pilkington. I worked for her for 10 and a half years. And I started working there June 16th of 2015. And since I started working there, we've talked about me just kind of stepping into her role and taking things over. And it's just kind of been a goal of ours to just kind of transition me into, running for treasurer when she was ready to retire. So that's my reasoning for running for treasurer at this point. She is retiring. November 30th of 2026 will be her last day. As far as my credentials go, I have approximately 20 years, give or take, a year or two, of banking and finance and accounting work across the board. Specifically, 10 and a half of those years in the office. So, and then as far as what I want to do in the office moving forward, she's done a great job of keeping up with the times. I think that there's probably a way to the technology, make it better as far as like an app, or, Kira's done a great job in the circuit clerk's office. And I'm sure that there's a way, I just don't know how yet, but to make, technology more user-friendly as far as paying your taxes. You still have to pay them can't ever get out of that. So, yeah, I think that there's a way to advance that. So, and you can pay them at the banks, and there's lots of different ways you can pay them. So, anyway, that's the only thing that I can think of that I would like to make better about our office. So, anyway, I do have signs back there if anyone would like a sign, a yard sign, and I would greatly appreciate your support March 17th.
Great. Thank you, Shannon.
You are welcome.
Stay close. And Deb, go ahead and give your opening statement. You've got 2 minutes.
I'm Deb Roskamp. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Illinois, and I'm running for Hancock County Treasurer. I worked at Cap's Law Firm here in Carthage for a dozen years, so I've been in an office setting where I did payroll and bill pay, and I always made it a mission, even though I wasn't an employer in that setting, to make sure that everybody in that office had the support from me to be the best they could be at everything they did. So I know that I will make a good boss. I have not ever been an administrator. I've worked on my own in taxes, income taxes, and of course I did estate and trust work in that law firm. When I got out of college, before I got my license, I worked the 2 years required to get that license in Illinois at Arnold, Barron's, Dieters and Gray, and they hired me for specifically the audits that they had ascertained for the 2 summers at the Adams County and at the City of Quincy buildings where we were in office, looking at their receipts and disbursements and making sure everything was the way it needed to be. I also worked in school districts in Pike, Adams, and Brown County on those audits and did tax work for that office. And then I was a stay-at-home mom. I am married to my wonderful husband for 37 years, Max Roskamp. We farm. I came from a family farm and married a farmer. One would think I would know better. It is not the easiest life. We pay way too much in property taxes, but I will vow to make sure that we are collecting the taxes that are required. But I also will have an ear and listen to the voters when they come in and complain that the taxes are too high. And I know a lot of our politicians who are running in this room tonight, and I will make sure they hear about our concerns. So I'm running because my niece had just gotten a job and she wasn't interested, and I'd been looking at it, so then I got interested.
Thank you, Deb. All right, so what we will do is we've got, let's see, how many questions do we have for you guys? We've got 6 questions. So we will start, Shannon will answer first, then Deb, and then on the second question, Deb will answer first, and then Shannon, just to keep everything fair. So, first question, Shannon. How do you manage a heavy workload and prioritize tasks, especially during peak times?
Obviously, customers come first. So you always get up and address everyone that comes in and take their tax money. Taking everybody's money, obviously, comes first. It doesn't matter. You have to get your work done. So if that means staying through lunch, you stay through lunch. If that means staying late, you stay late. Coming in early, you come in early. Get your work done. You have to, it's just something you have to do. You have to continue to balance the books and get your work done, report to the county board and whoever needs the reports and their figures. It's just something you have to do. You have to stay on top of it. And you do it every day. You balance every day. So you do payroll, what you can do every single day so that you can stay on top of everything to get it done in the amount of time that you have.
Great, thank you. All right, Deb, I will repeat the question for you. How do you manage a heavy workload and prioritize tasks, especially during peak times?
Well, I've always worked well under pressure. I don't have attention deficit disorder, but I've always felt like I could multitask until somebody said nobody can really multitask. But I really feel like when there's pressure and we have deadlines, that's when I seem to really rise to the occasion. I'm never afraid to learn new things, which is what's going to happen when I'm elected to be the treasurer. It's going to be very exciting, and I will just make sure that we're following all the state statutes. I have for many, many years. When I got my license in 1989, so I have had ethics training every year to make sure that I'm doing all that is required, but I'm also a Christian, so I have someone I have to answer to when I pass on to my spiritual form, and I hope that when I get to that point, I have worked hard, met all the deadlines, and been a very good worker and a very good boss.
Thank you. All right, second question. Deb, you will be answering first. Why are you running for this specific office, and what unique impact will you make?
Well, I'm running for treasurer. As I said, I had a niece that had just graduated with an accounting degree at Quincy College, and she landed a job, and right before the petitions had to be put in, I decided I was running because I'd gotten enough information that it seemed like something that would be a good way to finish an accounting career. I did governmental auditing at the bookend at the front, and so to be a treasurer and do that kind of work at the end of my career, it seems like the perfect bookend.
Great, thank you. All right, Shannon, same question. Why are you running for this specific office, and what unique impact will you make?
I'm on the opposite end of that, whereas I'm just starting my career, and I hope to have many years in this. I've been in the office for 10 and a half years. I know all of our financial systems. I've learned beginning to end. We've gone through multiple different financial systems. As far as uniqueness, I don't know. I am very personable. I don't know that I'll be able to stay back in that little office. I might have to plant my desk right out front just because I can't stay back and confine myself. So I'm a people person. I like to be out, talk to people, but I don't know what I would bring other than, just talking to everyone.
Great, thank you. All right, third question. Shannon will answer this one first. Currently, the county board pays an advisor to draft the county's budget. Should the county treasurer's office play a larger role in shaping the county's budget? And if so, how? 1 minute. I know that's probably something that might take more than a minute.
Subject. Absolutely, 100%. We had this role for many years. Like this is a new thing. Bellwether was just brought in a couple years ago. We are paying them $60,000 a year to do work that we should not be paying them to do. Of course, this is my opinion. I can't speak for everyone. We enter the budget. We give them the numbers. Like we give them everything that is in our system. That we have to give them the financial numbers, all the numbers that are, we've spent, we have, that's not enough time, Chad. We have to give them everything, and then Bellwether gives them, says, hey, we don't like the way you're doing this, that, or the other thing, don't do it that way. They're taking a lot of our work away from us and credit. We're paying them for work that does not need to be done outside of the county. It needs to be done in the treasurer's office.
Okay, thank you. Deb, same question. Currently, the county board pays an advisor to draft the county's budget. Should the county treasurer's office play a larger role in shaping the county's budget, and if so, how?
Having not been in this position, I was unaware that that was outsourced, and I would be completely against that. The work is being done by our competent people in our treasurer's office, and there's no reason why that budget shouldn't be done right there. And those inefficiencies are exactly why I want to run. And I know that Chris Pilkington has done an awesome job over the last 24 years, and we've become friends, and I respect her tremendously. But if there's any place where we can be more efficient, I intend to make sure that we are more efficient and spending less money in that role. It's just the state statutes that have to be followed, and budgets are very important, but we can do that.
Great, thank you. All right, the next question, Deb, you will answer this one first. Can you give an example of how you've improved transparency or accountability in a previous role?
When you work in accounting, you sometimes make an error. the transparency is that I, up front, have always been honest and said, hey, I'm human, I'm really sorry, I made a mistake. If it's one where there's a financial consequence, like interest on something that needs to be paid, I pay it myself. Being a sole practitioner, it's very easy for me to set my standards high for myself. And so I've always been very honest with my clientele, and I would be the same way with all of my taxpayers that are coming in and we're collecting their real estate taxes. And so I don't really have any really good examples of where I've had a situation like that, but you can depend on me to be upfront and honest. I will not hide anything, and that's just my nature.
Great. Thank you. Shannon, same question. Can you give an example of how you've improved transparency or accountability in a previous role?
I mean, we're audited regularly. So, I mean, we have somebody come in, company come in, Gray, Hunter, and Sten every year. They have to sit down and go through our finances, and, they also sit down with individuals and, just ask basic questions, just, check to see if anybody within the county is laundering money or embezzling money or, anything. But they do go through everything as best they can, and everything with a fine-tooth comb, as crazy as it seems. But I did have one instance. Otherwise, I'm not a procrastinator, but I did have one where I totally missed a bill and found it later, and it was late, and I ended up paying it, and I paid it out of my pocket. So it was with Kira's office, and it was like a $16 fee. But yes, that was the one time in my 10.5 years of being there that I had paid something late. So that's it.
Thank you. All right, next question. Shannon, you'll answer this one first. How do you plan to train, support, and retain staff in a small county environment?
This is a fantastic question. Chris has done a great job. Molly and I have both been there for quite some time. I love my office. I enjoy the people I work with. It's been a struggle the last 1.5 years, I would say, as far as salaries and everything goes, office holders, all that stuff. As far as retaining employees, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but Chris and Molly both plan to leave the office. So I would have to hire 2 new employees to fill my position and Molly's. And it would be a work in progress. But I do know the financial system. I do know how to do, my side of things, payroll, and I am also learning Chris's things now. But I would also, it would be a whole new learning process. I'd have to do all 3 things at the same time. But I would definitely learn to do it all and train everyone and treat everyone correctly.
Thank you. All right, Deb, same question. How do you plan to train, support, and retain staff in a small county environment?
I haven't given too much thought about the hiring process, but I am curious if it is possible to hire part-time work, because I know some people who have good business sense, but they're busy with young families, and I've thought about being able to keep Shannon in the office if I am the treasurer. I don't know. We haven't discussed anything like that, but I would be open-minded to having people who have been in the office there with me. I know there's training for the new treasurer or for the treasurer, and I'm looking forward to learning new things. As I've said, I already have experience in payroll, and I will be really excited to train new people, because like I said, in that law firm, I was always instrumental in making everybody feel like the job they did was very important, and they did have important jobs, and I encouraged them to be the best they could at what they did. I built people up, so.
Great, thank you. All right, last question, we'll start with Deb. What makes you the best candidate over your opponent to build public trust in our county's financial management?
Well, I don't want this to be a big, nasty competition, but I have experience in the requirements of making sure that you're doing the work that you do with the highest ethical standards. And I think that I just don't look at this as a competition. I look at it as an opportunity for the voters, you the voters, to have a chance to have a decision and make an educated choice in the March 17th primary. I think it's just going to be really wonderful if Shannon and I end up working together, because she's going to have to hire somebody and I'm going to have to hire somebody. So it won't matter how it works out.
All right, thank you, Deb. Shannon, same question. What makes you the best candidate over your opponent to build public trust in our county's financial management?
Well, I hope I've earned enough people's trust by already being in the office and showing what I am able to do. I feel like I've proved myself to a lot of people, and I hope I can continue to do that. I've worked hard, and I'm involved in a lot of things within the county. I'm on the Illini West School Board, and, I get involved in all the kids' stuff, athletic stuff, PTO and sports boosters and all of that. I try to get out into the community and be a part of everything I can to show that I'm, hey, I'm out here. Please trust me, with everything that you have. So hopefully y'all can trust me with working as your treasurer. And no hard feelings. There's no hard feelings up here. So it'll be fine. And I really would appreciate you guys to come out and vote for me March 17th.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. All right, now each of you will give your closing statements. So since we started with Shannon for the opener, we will start with Deb for the closing statement.
I believe that my background as a person raised in the Warsaw school system and the Warsaw Presbyterian Church, and the farm background with the family farms that I came from and that I'm a part of now, gives me a lot of insight on the most important job of the treasurer's office, collecting those property taxes and what that means to the small business owners and the farmers. And I'm really concerned about how high our property taxes have gotten. I just really feel like I'm going to have the opportunity as the treasurer to follow the state statutes and collect those taxes, but also become a voice for the taxpayers, because I know when you go in to pay, you're struggling at times just to have the funds to do that, and it hits you really hard at one little specific time of the year. So anything I can do to make that office more efficient and maybe make it so that the taxes can be paid ahead or set up in a way that you don't have to have all the money in June and September or however it ends up falling. I want to be able to help the taxpayer, and I really would appreciate your vote, and please get out and vote on March 17th.
Great. Thank you, Deb. Shannon, your closing statement?
Okay, well, I truly believe that experience matters, and 10 and a half years in that office, and I can tell you that unfortunately we don't get a voice in what you're paying in taxes. We have no voice in that. Talk to the assessor's office, you can talk to the county clerk's office, you can talk to your state representatives, all those people. We just get to send out your tax bill and collect your money. That's primarily what we get to do. And we do offer prepayments and all of that. I would gladly take your money every month if you want to come in and prepay. But I do know our financial systems. I have been there. We do so much more than collect taxes. We handle the payroll for the entire county. We handle finances for the entire county, balance all of the funds, 60 plus accounts every single month. We have to do year end, and we have to do that at the end of the year, end of the fiscal year, November 30th, before we can do the budget roll to the next fiscal year. You have to do that in order for the next year for the employees to get paid. We got that done in 2 days this year. 2 days, unheard of. So anyway, very proud of my office, of Chris's office, our office. We work very well together. So love the treasurer's office. Please get out and vote for me March 17th.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, ladies. All right, our next race is the 9th Judicial Circuit Judge position. So we've got Carissa Bryant and Chad Long. If you guys could come up here. All right. Before we begin with these two lovely candidates, I just want to make a quick note about our judicial candidates. So judges and judicial candidates operate under strict ethical rules that limit what they can say about certain issues. They're not allowed to comment on cases that might come before them, or offer opinions that suggest how they would rule, or make promises about future decisions. So if a candidate declines to answer a question tonight, whether it be up on stage or whether it be, when they're speaking with you one-on-one, or in the future at forums, just know that that does not mean that they are trying to be evasive. It is just simply them following the law and protecting the fairness and impartiality of the courts. So just wanted to preface that before we get started with you guys. That said, I think that all of our questions you will be able to answer, but just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. So we'll go ahead and start with the opening statement. Ladies first. Carissa, go ahead and give your opening statement. You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Audrey. My name is Carissa Bryant. For those who don't know me, I think I have talked to almost everybody in this room, but I am an attorney, and I've been an attorney in Carthage and the entire 9th Judicial Circuit for approximately the past 13 years. I've practiced in every county in our circuit. So our circuit is 6 counties. It's Hancock, McDonough, Fulton, Knox, Warren, and Henderson. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's a shortage of attorneys. So all of us attorneys get around to all of the counties, and we practice everything, and that's how it goes. I was born and raised right here in West Central Illinois on a farm, and I did my undergrad here at Western, and when I left, I had to leave to go to law school because unfortunately we don't have law schools here. And I graduated and ran right back to McDonough County. So I've been here ever since then. I am married. I have 2 boys, and Jackson is 10, and Lincoln just turned 7 in December. And we live on a farm kind of actually smack dab in the middle of the 9th Circuit. So it's really convenient for me to travel that. And we have a small hobby farm, and I like to consider myself a small rancher with my many cows. So when I'm not in the courtroom, which is my favorite place to be, you'll find me with my boys and on the farm. And I look forward to the opportunity to continue talking to you and continuing to serve the people of Western Illinois.
Thank you. Chad, your opening statement.
Thank you. All right, so first of all, thanks for having me, Audrey.
Thank you.
So my name is Chad Long. I am an associate judge here in the 9th Judicial Circuit. I was born and raised in Galesburg. My mom is from Galesburg. My father was from La Harpe. So born and raised in Galesburg, that's also where I met my wife, Monica. The 2 of us left from high school to go earn professional degrees and promptly returned to Knox County in 2008 after getting those degrees. And we put down roots, and we have been there ever since. Currently live in Knoxville with my wife and our 2 boys, Aiden and Oliver. So when I came back to town, I had a thriving law firm for about 16 years, where for all but 2 of those years, I was a managing partner of that firm. We had 5 total attorneys. In March of 2024, I was appointed as an associate judge, and I've been doing that ever since, so I'm coming up on that 2-year anniversary. Part of the format for today was, why am I running? I think that's really a twofold issue. One, I think it's a natural progression. So for those who don't know, associate judges, which is what I am, are appointed by circuit judges based on merit. There's an interview process and application. Circuit judges, which is what we're going for now, are voted on by you, the people. And the way I put it to explain it to people is associate judges are kind of like the employees. Circuit judges are more of the managers and policymakers. They kind of guide the circuit how it's going. They amend and write circuit rules. Ultimately, it's kind of a natural progression to come in as an associate, get your feet under you, learn what kind of a judge you're going to be and how you're going to judge, and then move on to be a circuit judge. The other reason is I want to improve the efficiencies and how we do some of the things here in the Ninth Judicial. As a judge, there are a few things I've done, like implementing family law software for all the judges from a company that charges for profit, but I was able to get that for free for all the judges to do child support calculations and maintenance calculations. I've also been an advocate for more technologies in the courtroom, basically technologies that are available for free, not for free like Westlaw, and also open advocacy, open access for things like Zoom. So if you have a disability or issues with transporting, you can come in and be there. So I want open technologies to allow people more access to the courtroom as well.
Thank you, Chad. All right, we'll start in with the questions. You get 1 minute to answer each question. First question, we'll start with Carissa. What principles guide your approach to interpreting and applying the law?
So I have always been a very transparent person, and the truth has always guided me, both personally and in my law practice. And so I think the easy question comes when the law is clear, you interpret and you apply the law as it is written. The harder questions come, or the harder answers come, when there's harder questions. The law isn't clear, or this is new. There hasn't been any precedent. And in those instances, I would apply, I think you have to look back at what the legislature intended, why this was enacted, what our Constitution says. And if the law is not clear and it's open for interpretation and I have the discretion, then I would exercise that discretion. Just because something is done that way or said that way doesn't mean that that is how it should be. And I've carried that through in life. I've always questioned everything, and I've done that as an attorney. I've done a lot of appellate work because I think that you have to get into the minutia. Not every case is the same.
Thank you. Chad, same question. What principles guide your approach to interpreting and applying the law?
So it's a pretty basic question, but it is a complicated answer. So, you can tell people, hey, I'm a God-fearing Christian family man, but as a judge, your principles on a personal level don't really apply. My job is to look at the law. Sometimes there's precedent, whether from the appellate court or Supreme Courts. Sometimes there's not. When there's not precedent, I have to look at legislative intent. And there are a lot of situations, even where there is case law, there is precedent, that you have to look at the law and the statute and apply your discretion. So the example would be family cases. If you look at the statutes on parenting time and decision-making, what we used to call custody and visitation, each of those things has 16, 17 factors that you're to apply. So you have to look at the laws, but also apply the facts that are presented to you in a hearing. And just kind of sometimes it is a go with your gut decision on who's proven their case and what they've shown and what the evidence is. But generally speaking, most of the interpretation is guided by prior law. If not, you do make new decisions based on legal principles.
Thank you. All right, second question. Chad, you will answer this one first. What is your process for writing clear, well-reasoned judicial opinions or orders?
Well, it really just boils down to telling people, in some cases, what the law is, what the evidence was, and how you're applying it. So I have a pretty strict rule. I think our system gets pretty backlogged. When I take things under advisement, meaning I have a trial and I don't make a ruling from the bench, then what I do is I put a strict standard on myself. In 10 to 14 days, I want a written opinion out. So I don't want a backlog to be created, so I will sit down, maybe turn on some music in my chambers, mark time off for a certain day when I don't have a full docket, and I will sit down and I will draft opinions. But the way I always do that is I set forth so people know what my position is, what the law is, and I want everyone, whether they're happy with my decision or upset, to know why I made my decision. So I will tell them what the law is, what the facts were adduced at trial or hearing, and I will then apply those facts to the law in a reasoned decision that I try to be as clear as possible, night and day. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that when they appeal, they know what my position is, and I think that makes a clear record.
Thank you. All right, Carissa, same question. What is your process for writing clear, well-reasoned judicial opinions or orders?
Thank you. So I'm not on the bench, so I haven't written any judicial opinions. I do draft orders. Those orders always come from what the judge's ruling is, what my notes were from that hearing. But what I can tell you is that in being an attorney and from being in appellate practice, the best opinions that are written by judges or given by judges on the record lay out every single factor. Chad mentioned the 17 factors in the best interest of the child standard. The best opinions list out every single factor that are in the statute, what evidence weighed in favor, what evidence weighed not in favor, and ultimately where you came down on that factor. That makes a clear, concise record so there's no room for confusion, and either the order or the opinion is clear and it's concise. It makes a great record. That way everybody knows where I came from, but also the appellate court will also know where the judge came from. So that makes it pretty clear for you to be able to also appeal an opinion if you don't like it.
Thank you. Okay, Carissa, you'll answer first on this next one. What strategies would you use to reduce case backlogs and improve timeliness of hearings?
So I think an efficient courtroom is an efficient use of taxpayer money, and it's also an efficient use of resources and client money. So by having a judge on the bench that is prepared, has reviewed the file, knows the posture of the case, where are we in discovery, where are we in, motion practice, and knowing before they go on the bench exactly where we are so that the attorneys don't have to reiterate to every new judge where we are. That also gives the judge the ability to help guide the litigation. And I think clear deadlines and case management conferences where the judges are actually managing the cases and saying, you have this deadline to meet for this motion, or you have this deadline to meet for this discovery. That is what streamlines the process, and swifter justice really for everyone is an efficient win for everyone.
Thank you. Chad, same question. What strategies would you use to reduce case backlogs and improve timeliness of hearings?
So Illinois court statistics show that the number of cases in Illinois are going down, but the time spent on each case is going up. And really the best way to address that is just through the judges. And Carissa's right in a lot of respects, that does fall on the judge. So what I do is I have my clerks pull every file at least 3 days in advance of every hearing so I can review it. I am prepared for my hearings. I know where we're at. I will also require strict deadlines in all family cases and other matters. I enter what we call case management orders that set forth those deadlines, and I hold to those deadlines. If you don't comply with discovery, you may be barred from presenting your discovery to help move those cases along. Ultimately, unfortunately, I am in one of the busiest courtrooms in the circuit where I handle about 8 different types of cases, so it can be difficult to coordinate things on my calendar because like right now I'm booked in through May, and that is a big problem that really, frankly, it comes down to state money though in some cases. We do need more judges and things to cover some of those, but it can be done more efficiently, like I said, with things like family law software, legal research tools, and other things to make us better at our jobs. And frankly, our circuit's behind on technology, and that's why I'm advocating for big changes there to improve our efficiency so we can get through those cases quicker. It's not just about holding people to deadlines, it's about doing our jobs more efficiently as well.
Great, thank you. Chad, you'll answer this next question first. What improvements, if any, would you like to see in court technology or administrative processes?
You just want me to beat a dead horse up here?
Yeah, beat it.
Yeah, so I'll just say it again. Our circuit's lacking basic things. Most attorneys out there have LexisNexis, Westlaw, legal research tools like that. Our county hadn't had them for a decade. This last year, myself and a couple of other judges were able to go to the chief judge and convince them that was an appropriate tool. Transparency, that did cost the taxpayers a little bit of money. Not any more than you were already paying because we rolled it into our budget, so there's not any kind of increase there. We're not asking for additional funds. But I have done things, like I said, there's a company called the company's name isn't Family Law Software, but that's the name of the software. Real creative, I know. But it does child support and maintenance calculations. That's something that attorneys pay for. As an attorney, we have that in my office, and you pay hundreds of dollars sometimes a month, depending on your licensed users. I went out and got that from the company for free for our circuit so that we can now do that. That costs nothing to taxpayers. I think along with efficiency here that I was talking about and transparency and openness with Zoom, I think allowing people to use Zoom so they can appear more often and freely, especially when my docket is full, maybe not have to travel there, having those open courtrooms with Zoom access also helps. We've just started implementing that more freely now in our circuit, and I want to continue to expand that.
Great. Thank you. Carissa, same question.
So I actually would disagree with Chad. I think our circuit is actually going more towards technology. They're using all of the resources and grants that they can in order to make everything more accessible to everyone. While we might not have the technology that maybe Cook or the Collar counties do, we are heads and tails above other circuits in the state of Illinois. And one of those things, like Chad mentioned, is Zoom. Zoom came about during COVID times, and it has been one of the most resourceful tools as an attorney that I have ever been able to use. Prior to Zoom and prior to being able to appear via Zoom, if I had a case in Hancock County at 9 o'clock, then there was no way that I was going to be able to appear in Knox County or Fulton County at 10 o'clock. That pushes back that client's case because I have to go on a different day. Now, with Zoom, I can be in 6 counties from wherever I am. And so I can service a larger area, which means people's cases are getting heard faster, and it means that they are getting an end to their problems. And so I would continue to allow Zoom, and I would continue to push for any grants that we can get so that we can continue updating the courtrooms without cost to the taxpayers.
Thank you. Okay, next question. How do you or will you measure success as a judge? Carissa.
Thank you. I think a lot of judges measure their success on whether or not they've been overturned on appeal, whether or not the appellate court or the Illinois Supreme Court has said they were right. For me, I've never had a problem for standing up and for what I believe is right or what I believe the law says. And so the prospect of me being worried about what an appellate court says is not there. I'm not worried about if I'm going to be overturned. I just want to get finality, and I want this to be interpreted. And so as a judge, I want to make sure that not only the law is applied how it should be, whether that's with precedent and it's clear, or this is new and we now have clarification because of a ruling that I made that was took up on appeal. In addition to making sure that the laws are applied as they should be, making sure that every person that comes in my courtroom feels heard and that they were treated fairly is also a measure of success to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad, same question. How do you measure success as a judge?
You're going to hear some of the same tropes, but I disagree with the appellate decision issue because ultimately, appellate decisions, if you're affirmed or overturned, they tell you whether or not the judge who you're seeing on a daily basis in the trial court got it right. And I'm proud to say in 2 years, especially because I'm a juvenile judge, I get appealed really often. Those are cases where appeals happen. I've been affirmed on every single case that's gone up on appeal or it's been dismissed for being an inappropriate appeal. So I do my job and I do it right. As far as how do I measure success, I'm going to agree with Carissa because it's the answer I've given repeatedly. I think that I'm a successful judge if everyone who comes into my courtroom knows why I ruled the way I did, and they feel as though they had open access to the courts, they were treated with respect, they left with their dignity, and that no matter where they're from, whatever their economic position, they were treated the same, and they had the same access, especially if they didn't have an attorney. They feel as though they were treated the same as those clients who have attorneys. And if they leave feeling that way, I think I was successful in my job.
Thank you, Chad. All right, last question. Starting with Chad. What makes you the right fit for this judgeship compared to your opponent?
Well, one of the easiest things is just experience. So jumping from an attorney to a judge, that's a pretty steep learning curve. And when I became a judge in March of 2024, there wasn't a new judge school or something I went to right away. In fact, my new judge orientation that every new judge is required to do started 4 months later. So really, I walked into Knox County Courthouse one day. I was told that was my assignment. Our Chief Judge Ray Kavanaugh was there. He was supposed to just be there for me to kind of tour with him that day. And at lunch, he handed me my robe that was hanging on the wall and said, well, I don't want to be here the rest of the day, so I'm leaving. Good luck. And I jumped in feet first, and I've been doing it ever since. And as I said in my prior answer, I've been pretty successful at it, in my opinion, and I think the appellate court and others agree. And I think that's why I'm a good candidate. I have 18 years, 16 years as an attorney, 2 as a judge with an unblemished record. Ask anyone in the legal profession, I don't think there's going to be a bad thing to be said about me. I've done my job in all respects, and I've done it well.
Thank you very much. Carissa, same question. What makes you the right fit for this judgeship compared to your opponent?
Thank you. Well, fortunately for me, every judge that's ever been a judge didn't have experience before they came to the bench. And so I am an avid learner, and I love to learn. I jump in feet first with everything. And I guess the biggest thing to me is that if you want something different than what you already have, then you have to do something different than what we already have. I have the utmost respect for all of our judges that are on the bench. So bringing in somebody else in addition to the judges that are on the bench that might have fresh new perspectives or might have more ideas or a different way of looking at things, I think is an advantage for the circuit, because it's a complement. It's an addition to what we have instead of keeping what we've always done.
Thank you very much. All right, now you guys will each be able to give a closing statement. You have 1 minute. Since we started with Carissa for the opening statement, we will start with Chad for the closing statement.
All right, well, I think judicial candidates often get overlooked. You don't hear from us a lot. Really, you don't know much about us. So I think really it's an important job, though. I think, unfortunately, it's overlooked because legislators, senators, they make laws that apply to you, but judges, we interpret them, and we determine how they are applied to you often on a daily basis. It can have a big impact on your life. So I think it's important that you vet your candidates, obviously talking to people in the legal profession, other attorneys, clerks, court reporters, law enforcement as well, people who deal with judges on a daily basis. But other than that, I'll just tell you, you can also talk to me. I have business cards back there with my email. If you want to talk to me after, I'm more than happy to write my cell phone number on that for you and field your questions. There's also signs. There's koozies that I know for a fact fit really nicely on a Busch Light can. Feel free to talk to me after. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad. Carissa, your closing statement.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Audrey and the rest of the Central Committee for having this. I think it's really great. And I also want to thank all of you, because that tells me that you are interested and you are engaged in the process. And that is what we need everywhere. The biggest thing that I've taken away from this campaign is that, as Chad said, not a lot of people understand what these judicial roles are. They don't understand that you have an opinion, you have a voice, you have a choice as to who is on the bench, who's making these decisions, who's interpreting these laws that affect your life. And so for me, the reason why I ran is because I don't like the way things are going. And so I want to make a difference, and I want you to know that you have a choice as to who is making these decisions. And so I am an open book. I am a transparent person. I've been that way all of my life. So I am out in the community. I like communicating with everyone. And if you have a question, I'm completely transparent. I have the veracity in order to be truthful, and I'm going to tell you. You might not like it, but I am going to tell you how I feel and my opinion on that. And so I would appreciate your support for the March 26th primary. Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa, and thank you, Chad. Appreciate your time. Okay, our next race is state representative for the 94th House District. We've got candidate Josh Higgins here. And just for full transparency, on the ballot on March 17th of 2026, you will see 3 names listed on the ballot. There's 2 other candidates, Noreen Hammond and Bailey Templeton, but they chose not to be here tonight. So Josh will be the only one answering questions for us. All right, Josh, do you want to go ahead and give us your opening statement?
Sounds good. Well, I think that I know most of you. Some of you I've known for a very long time. But my name is Josh Higgins. I live in Gladstone, Illinois. I graduated from Union High School, which is now West Central. I've been married to my wife for 18 years on the 22nd. I have a 16-year-old daughter, Lily, a 9-year-old daughter, Vivian, and I have a 1-year-old son, Nolan. So we spread them out that way we could enjoy the fun for a long time. After graduating high school, I played a little bit of college baseball, and then I joined the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 12 years. For the first 5 or so years of it, I was an aircraft mechanic on the AC-130 gunship. Kept those planes in the air so they could support our tip of the spear guys. And then I decided I want to do something a little bit different, so I cross-trained to become a geospatial intelligence analyst. So as an intelligence analyst, basically my job was to monitor drone feed, monitor satellite feed, satellite imagery, still imagery, and make call-outs for the guys on the ground. The cool thing about being intelligence analyst compared to in maintenance is I didn't have to deploy, so I didn't have to be away from my kids because you're deployed in garrison, so you can do your missions from home station. So I actually did all the missions we did from Beale Air Force Base, which was north of Sacramento. So the reason that I am running for this office, I moved home in 2019 and got to deal with COVID basically as soon as I came home, and we did not get the support that we wanted as a school district from our representatives. Senator Anderson over here was awesome. He came to our school. He spoke about local control and how we should be able to make the decisions for our district. The current representative, Noreen Hammond, did not do that. She did not reach out and help us. She did not come and speak on our behalf. And that was kind of my first negative interaction with Representative Hammond. And I would say that after that, the next I ran for school board because of that, and then I ran for precinct committeeman as well. But when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that was what changed my mind on really getting involved. I had thought about doing this a couple times. I had actually had discussions with people that are already involved, but that was what changed the mind for Lindsay and I. And after Lindsay prayed for about 4 days, because I let her make the decision because it was going to put a lot on her, we decided to jump into this. But that's why I'm running, and now I'm here, and my opponents are not. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that says a lot in itself. Okay, so you ready to get into the question round?
I am.
I got some tough ones here for you.
Okay.
Okay. I made them extra hard just for you.
Thank you.
All right, Josh. What principles guide your decision-making when evaluating legislation?
Obviously, my main principle that I'd be guided by would be my faith. It's important to my family. It's important to our country. You know, we were founded on Judeo-Christian values, and I think a lot of people get confused when they bring up separation of church and state. It didn't mean that religion stayed out of politics. It meant that you didn't have the same religious leader as your state leader. And I would say, obviously, I am a conservative, so small government is probably the most important thing to me. So when somebody brought up, hey, should we be able to ride side-by-sides on county roads? Absolutely, and the state should have no say in that. The county should have no say in that. I think that the problem that we have in the United States is we've got this inflated monstrosity of a federal government, and for some reason Illinois seems just hell-bent on outdoing the federal government and have an inflated monstrosity as a state government. We have to get back to what our country was built on. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but we only had 3 departments when this country was created. You had the Department of War, the Department of Treasury, and the Department of State, and that was it. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very small. It's supposed to have very small impact on your life. And I think that everybody sitting in this room, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or anything in between, you can say the state and the government does have an impact on your life, and we need to change that.
Thank you. All right. Agriculture is central to the 94th District. What policies will you champion to support farmers, landowners, and ag-related businesses?
So I will, full transparency, I'm not a farmer. I deal with farmers every day. I'm a crop insurance agent, and I see the things they're going through. I think the big thing for farmers is we have got to get rid of the regulations. They are regulated to death. And if, it goes back to big government. If you regulate less, they're going to be able to do more, and they're going to not have to worry about everything all the hoops they have to jump through to use their own money. I think obviously a big part of the problems that farmers have right now is property taxes are crazy. And I'm on the school board, so I do see kind of this as a catch-22 situation. In Illinois, property taxes, especially in the rural districts, they fund about 65% of the district. That's a problem, because when you have to pay teachers or you have to put a new boiler, we're still doing boilers in our school, new boiler in your school, we really don't have any other way to get funds besides the property taxes. That has to be changed. Now, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this question here, but I think the way that we have to change that is, one, there's no downside to jumping into the EO that President Trump enacted for school choice. It opens up a lot of already allocated federal funds that allow for school vouchers or scholarships and things like that. And that would really ease a lot of the burden that's put on the public schools. So I wish that I had more that I could do for farmers right now, because I work with them every day and I see what they're going through. This year especially has been very tough. But I think that you have to start with the regulations.
Great. Thank you, Josh. All right. What is a way that we can unburden the healthcare system, either by reducing the load or reducing premiums? And how would that help rural hospitals?
All right, I'm going to take a totally different direction on this than what most of you are probably expecting. Fitness is a huge part of my life. I think that we have got, and I'll go back to the schools for a second. I'm not saying that reading, math, English, I'm not saying that's not important. But we have got to do a better job of teaching people how to take care of their bodies. Because if you learn how to take care of your bodies when you're young, you decrease a lot of very preventable diseases. I don't know if you guys all know this, but during COVID, most of the people that really were affected by it were considered obese. If we could figure out a way to really teach these young people how to take care of their bodies, the premiums are going to be lower, the burden on the healthcare system is going to be lower, and if we can do that, instead of worrying about treating diseases, we can actually be proactive with these things. Instead of being reactive with everything in healthcare, we can be proactive, and I think that would change. Well, it would change the entire country.
Thank you, Josh. Right.
Oh, actually, can I add something?
Yeah,
I'm going to add one thing, and make premiums and all healthcare costs tax deductible.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Right. What reforms, if any, do you believe Illinois needs in its tax structure to better support rural counties such as Hancock?
Every reform. Man, this is a tough one, because I kind of touched on it a little bit with the schools and everything, because that really is a big part of it. It's weird, because I was reading an article today about, in the early 2010s, the state of Illinois voted for, I can't remember exactly what it's called, I think it's DGEF, but basically it's the distribution of the funds through 2 different municipalities. And I think it was 2012, they voted to take that from 10% to 7%. And if that was still at 10% today, it would have been an extra $1.7 billion that would have gone to different municipalities for, different counties. And Norrie and Hammond voted to lower it from 10% to 7%. I think that really, Senator Anderson actually talked to me about something one time. I think that this would be pretty helpful, but everyone talks about how the gas tax is awful, it's terrible, it's awful, right? But if we actually remove the sales tax on fuel, that would make the biggest difference. And if we do that, obviously everyone's going to have more money in their pockets, and that'll go back to help the farmers as well. Sorry, Chad.
No, you're fine.
You've waved at me like
Just
6
doing
times.
my job.
Right.
He's good at it.
How will you stay accessible to residents across a geographically large gerrymandered district?
Well, I don't know if many people follow me on Facebook, but I've put about 12,000 miles in my truck in 3 months. I try to go somewhere every night. I did slow down during the holidays, spend some time with family. But I think that that's really what you have to do. I think that Senator Anderson's a perfect example of this. I mean, he shows up when there's 5 people. He shows up when there's 15 people. And I think you have to do that. I will also use social media. I don't know if any of you were in Macomb when they had that candidate forum, but I will not use TikTok, because I really do believe that it is Chinese spyware. So I will avoid TikTok. But I think social media is helpful, and it seems like everybody has some form of social media, so I will use that. But I think the big thing is people want to meet. I mean, they want to see you in person. They want you to shake hands at their dinner table or at events, and I think that's the best way to be accessible. But the one thing that I will do differently than Noreen is I won't have a district office that's outside the district. You know what I mean? I'll make sure if when I have a district office, it will be in the district. It will be in the district, and obviously, I'm hoping that it's going to be in Carthage. That's my plan if I were to be successful. But we'll see what happens. But I find it funny, to go off on a little tangent for a second, that Noreen opened a new office, you know, so you can't say that though the office is already out of the district, or it was in the district, but then they redrew the maps. She opened a new office, and it's still out of the district, which makes zero sense.
Agree. All right. There have been allegations of a quid pro quo between you acting as a school board member and those involved with your campaign. Can you please comment on this?
Okay. So, yes, I, as a school board member, I did see this pop up on my Facebook, of all places. I was accused of, so the Campaign Eagle, which is kind of the entity that helps me with my campaign, they also run a newspaper. Now, when I voted on this in April, I had no idea who Campaign Eagle was. And secondly, it was a grant that was earmarked for a publication. We had two choices. We had this company named Journey 12, and I can't remember exactly right now where they're from, and this in Forgotonia Times. That was our two choices. We saved the district $7,000 on this earmarked grant by going with Forgotonia Times, and we actually got 2 copies of a magazine instead of 1. I'll tell you this right now, that if, I'll say Chad. Let's say Chad has a construction company, and he gives me a bid, because this is how it works in the state of Illinois with public schools. It's awful. And because usually you only get 2 bids, and they're from the same 2 companies every time. It's like they talk to each other, because every other comes in with the highest bid. And Chad has a construction company. He said, I'm going to do $120,000 worth of concrete for you. And then I have a local guy comes in and he says, you know what, I can do the same job for $40,000. So you mean to tell me that because I know the local guy, because I know everybody local, that I shouldn't take the $40,000 bid and save $80,000 for the district? Of course you're going to save money when you have the chance. Now I will go back to the fact that I didn't know these people, so it was dumb for anyone to bring it up anyway. But I'll always err on the side of saving money for the district.
Great. Thank you. Got one more question for you, and this one is an easy one. How do you contrast your opponent, and how will that appeal to your constituents?
Well, to start with, I'm a conservative. I think that when Noreen got to Springfield, I think that, first of all, I think the Republican Party has shifted. I really do. I talked to somebody tonight, said that they were frustrated with the Republican Party before President Trump got into office. And I would say I was kind of on the same page with that. I think that conservatism is, liberty, small government, and I think that we can all agree that our government hasn't gotten any smaller under any administration, Republican or Democrat, until this administration. They've actually gotten rid of some federal jobs, which is crazy. I think the last time that a president got rid of federal jobs was Clinton, weirdly enough. But I will always vote conservative. I don't believe that in a district like ours, that's the first or second or third most conservative district in the state of Illinois, that there's any reason to go along to get along, right? I don't think there's any reason to, for example, vote for non-citizens to be able to arrest citizens. I don't believe there's any reason that as a conservative that I should vote with liberal Democrats on breaking a veto over a Republican governor for the largest tax hike in Illinois history. I don't know what happens when a lot of these people get to these places, but it does seem like for a very small amount of money, they're willing to sell their soul or go against their morals or their values. And I will tell you that anybody that knows me knows that I'm quite stubborn. There's going to be no amount of money or no amount of pool, and obviously nobody physically is going to be able to get me to go against my morals or my values.
Thank you, Josh. All right. Your closing statement, you've got 1 minute.
Well, my closing statement is this. Obviously, I appreciate all of you being here. I really hope that you all vote for me on March 17th. I think that it's time for a real conservative to be the state representative for a real conservative district. I think for far too long, the Republicans in the House in Illinois haven't worked together. I don't believe in much the Democrats do, but I'll tell you what, they stick together. And for some reason, our Illinois House Republicans, they don't stick together. They'll vote for terrible bills, and I never really can understand why. Why not take that placard, put it around their neck, and let them wear it? Wear it as a badge of honor. If you guys really support this, why would we support it with them? I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? There's just no reason for me to do that because of the district we're in. I mean, I heard from a really impressive state senator one time that, you know, you have to represent your constituents. And if there was a district that I was in where a lot of my constituents were union members, then maybe I would vote for unions. Well, guess what? I don't have to worry about that here, and either does Noreen. There's no reason to vote any other way than as a conservative here. So please, first of all, please vote, and secondly, please vote for me March 17, 2026. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you everyone for being here, especially I know it's getting a little late, but I do appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to come out and meet us as candidates. I think it's important to be an informed voter. So my name is Jordan Hawes. I'm running for sheriff, and it's an honor to be able to do that. This is the county that I grew up in. This is born and raised in Hamilton. Went to school at Hamilton High School. Married my wife, who also grew up in Hamilton. Been together for 12 years. We have 3 beautiful children. My oldest is 10. My middle son is 8. Getting ready to turn 9 here shortly. And my youngest is 4, turning 5 in February. So we've got a young family, and it's a joy to be able to raise them in this county. My mom grew up in this county, and now we're just continuing that generation. So I've been in law enforcement for 17 years. I started my career at the sheriff's office as a corrections officer and dispatcher. I kind of worked my way up through that until I turned 21, and I got my start in Warsaw part-time, went full-time, and then Hamilton picked me up shortly thereafter. I worked through for about a couple years with Hamilton, and those jurisdictional boundaries tend to weigh on you a little bit, and I wanted something bigger, so I had the fortunate to be hired by Sheriff Benzinger in 2015. I worked there for about 4 years and was promoted to Chief Deputy under Sheriff Benzinger, and that has been a great experience. I love working for this county. I will tell you though that in 21, the Safety Act, along with the Defund the Police movement, had a significant impact on me. I feel like that we, as law enforcement, are here to serve you, the public, the good folks of this county that pay taxes, that don't deserve to be victimized. And when state legislation passes laws that prioritize the criminal over the victim, I can't hardly agree with that. Then when they go after you and say, we want to take away your qualified immunity, we want to make changes to the body cam to where you can't view the body cam, but we want you to write a report, but if it differs, then we're going to find a reason to go after you, essentially. We're not doing it for the right reasons, and I got upset. And I will be the first to admit that I got out of law enforcement for about 6 months. And I was fortunate that I tried other things, but this is where my heart's at. And I was lucky to get picked up by Macomb, and I'm serving as a detective with the city of Macomb and have been since then. So I know Chad's waving at me, so this is going to be a challenge for me, folks. I'm not going to lie.
All right, thank you, Jordan. All right, Josh, your opening statement.
Thank you. Well, thank everybody for being here. And like Jordan said, I know it's getting late, and I'll try to stay on time here as well. I'm running to be your next Hancock County Sheriff. I've been a deputy here in Hancock County for the last 18 years of the 25 total years of my law enforcement career. Over my career, I also worked in dispatch, corrections, and administration. I've served this county for over 20 years. Worked several small town departments, so worked a variety of cases, investigations. I'm also very passionate about being a youth coach, coach youth sports. I currently am a coach for 2 of our local schools for baseball programs. Investing in my community is a huge part of who I am. So my family, we're from the La Harpe area. My wife, Melinda, her family, they're from the Burnside, Carthage area. And we settled in Warsaw in 2005 when I took a job with the Warsaw Police Department. And that's where we've raised our 3 kids, Kyle, Our oldest is a sophomore at UHSP, University of Health Science and Pharmacy down in St. Louis. He's studying to be a physical therapist and playing baseball. Our next son, Evan's a senior at Warsaw High, and after graduation, he is shipping out to the National Guard. Our daughter, Macy, is a sophomore. Keeps us busy with her basketball games, softball, things like that. Thinks she's going to be a future teacher, just like her mom. So, if elected as your sheriff, I have several goals. First, it's priority for me to create a school resource officer program in our rural schools, not just for safety. It's an asset that kids everywhere can benefit from. I also want to make sure that we are completely transparent and fiscally responsible. Under my administration, you will know where your tax dollars are being spent and what is going on in the county. I believe in training our personnel, making sure that we're highly trained, highly motivated, out there serving you as I've enjoyed over 25 years of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. All right. First question. Jordan, will have you answer first. What are the top 3 law enforcement priorities for our county, and how do you plan to address them?
So my top 3 priorities are going to be building trust and transparency with the public. Trust is the foundation of policing, and the best way to earn that trust is through transparency. We have to be willing to be forthcoming with you about what's going on at the sheriff's office, whether it's good or bad. And when bad things happen, hopefully they're rare, but when they do, we have to own them. We have to be held accountable for our actions, just as we would hold the public accountable. Second thing would be is methamphetamine. It is a ever concerning problem for our county and rural counties just like us, and that is going to be a top priority of mine. There's so much other crime that is associated with methamphetamine that is the catalyst for property crimes such as theft and burglary, as well as broken families that cause other issues there. Another top priority is going to be retaining the good employees that we have at the sheriff's office. This is the worst I've ever seen, where we're trying to hire good folks for law enforcement that don't want to be in it. And so we're going to focus on retaining those good employees and providing a positive work environment for them.
Thank you, Jordan. Josh, same question. What are the top 3 law enforcement priorities for our county, and how do you plan to address them?
I'm going to start where Jordan stopped. That is getting back to a full staff at the sheriff's office and keeping a full staff of highly trained individuals. Since 2021, we've lost 3 guys at that time. Now we're losing 3 guys again. We're down 1 deputy position that is open, and we need to get that filled so we can better serve you. Also, building upon what we currently have, as I mentioned, the school resource officer program, I think that is huge for our county and for our, serving our youth as well as our teachers in these schools. I've talked about it for a couple of years. I've tried to get that going as chief deputy, and it did not go, but it is going to be a priority of mine from the get-go. Again, and then also just being out there, being more accessible, being on patrol more, answering the calls, making sure that we're completing our investigations and doing the things that we need to do to solve crime, to get it to the state attorney's office so people can be held accountable for their actions.
Thank you. All right, next question. We'll have Josh answer first. How would you handle a situation where a deputy was accused of misconduct or committing a crime?
Well, it sounds like an easy question, but it's a tough question at the same time. Been through that. Without getting into a whole lot of detail, I can say that the answer to that is the deputies have a union. You have to abide by the union policy, and you have to give them their due process. Same thing as everybody else. They're going to be treated fairly, and they're going to be held accountable, just like every one of you.
Thank you. Jordan, same question. How would you handle a situation where a deputy was accused of misconduct or committing a crime?
So I experienced this as chief deputy, not with a deputy, but with a correctional officer. This was something that was brought to our attention, inappropriate conduct in the jail. We right away put that person on administrative leave. We contacted the Illinois State Police, conducted an external investigation because of the situation that we were in there. And they were able to formulate basically the charges that would be filed, and later a conviction would be, and we terminated that employee. So it's something that I'm well aware of. In the place that I work now, we have well-defined policies on internal investigations, and that is something that I would 100% do again, is that we will put that person on administrative leave and investigate that case. We will give that employee due process. Not every accusation that people make is truthful, and that's where we are compelled to get to the bottom of it. But you as the public need to know what that process is, so you understand that we're going to hold ourselves accountable just as though we would the public.
Thank you. All right, next question. Jordan, in Illinois, state mandates contradict federal law in regards to police officers working with ICE. What is your stance on working with ICE, and what will your policy be when you are sheriff?
I don't believe that public safety should be a partisan issue. I understand that the Trust Act exists. However, I also believe in common sense. And I think that if we have illegal immigrants in our county, that we should cooperate with ICE. And if they're a detriment to our public safety, we should do the common sense approach and do what's right under federal law, which is to cooperate with ICE.
Thank you. Josh, same question. In Illinois, state mandates contradict federal law in regards to police officers working with ICE. What is your stance on working with ICE, and what will your policy be on that when you are sheriff?
Jordan got the tough one first. The Trust Act is clear. I mean, it does tie our hands to an extent. My policy, my feelings, my beliefs are that we should cooperate with federal immigration authorities. However, I'm not going to put the county in a position to where we get our hands slapped for doing something that we shouldn't be doing. Now, with that said, I hope to be in the position of having the job as sheriff so I can work with folks like Neil Anderson, Josh Higgins, other sheriffs in order to try to get this legislation changed, and hopefully the climate changes in our state here soon.
Thank you, Josh. All right, next one will be yours to answer first. Many complaints regarding our current sheriff's office focus on a lack of transparency, specifically in a refusal to comply with audits, turning in credit card receipts, etc., which has resulted in a poor relationship with the county board and a lack of trust amongst constituents. Could you please comment on this, and also how do you intend to restore the trust between the sheriff's office and the citizens and county board?
That's not a lie. I said you had the tough one first. So I'm going to start this. I'm not going to say anything bad about my current sheriff, Travis Duffy. I'm not going to stand here to do that. It's against policy, and I wouldn't do that anyway. What happened under his administration, that's his cross to bear. Under mine, a relationship will be fostered with the county board that repairs that, the fracture that is there. We have to work together in order to better serve you. There is no reason for the county board in any office of this county to be at odds. And under my leadership as your sheriff, if elected, that will not happen.
Thank you, Josh. All right, Jordan, same question. Many complaints regarding our current sheriff's office focus on a lack of transparency, specifically in a refusal to comply with audits, turning in credit card receipts, etc., which has resulted in a poor relationship with the county board and a lack of trust amongst constituents. Could you please comment on this, and also how do you intend to restore the trust between the sheriff's office and the citizens and county board?
So transparency is a vital thing. Communication is key. And what I've done since starting this campaign is started going to the county board meetings and learning the issues that the county board is facing, getting to know the county board members, so that way we can already start to foster this relationship with the county board. I understand it's a critical component of the government within this county, and I hope to have a positive relationship. We're not always going to agree on everything, and there will be debate. But I learned early on under Sheriff Benzinger that you need to have a strong communication with the county board so that we can make good fiscal decisions for not only the citizens of this county, but also the employees of the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Jordan. All right, The next one you will be answering first. What would you look for when filling leadership roles within your sheriff's office, such as chief deputy, sergeants, etc.?
Simply put, I want someone that can lead without a title. I want someone that can show that they can garner the respect of their employees. Good leadership comes from folks that have done the job, know how the job is done, and can teach that job to new folks with a kind heart, patient soul, somebody that is willing to take that extra effort to foster the young that are coming up through the organization. That's how we build morale within our department. We have strong leadership, which then translate into quality workmanship.
Thank you, Jordan. Josh, same question. What would you look for when filling leadership roles within your sheriff's office, such as chief deputy, sergeants, etc.?
Things I look for: commitment, dedication, the drive to want to be there, the drive to lead. Jordan was exactly spot on. You got to be able to lead without a title. There's a lot of ways you can lead without being the guy in charge. So that will be rewarded. Experience, obviously, it is very valuable. I want somebody that can help younger deputies or telecommunicators or corrections officers do their job and make it where they're doing it at a high level. So, I mean, they have to have a heart and a strong mind and a willingness and a commitment to do the job, and that's who I'll be looking for.
Thank you. Next question. Voters deserve transparency about significant leadership changes in a candidate's background. Have you ever been removed or asked to resign from a leadership role? If yes, please explain the circumstances, what responsibility you accept for it, and how that experience has prepared you to lead as sheriff.
Yes, I was chief deputy under Sheriff Duffy for right around 4 years. Last March, he did ask me to step down. We had a disagreement over the way I handled an issue and a few other things that were going on, and it was time for me to move on from that position. The position's still open. He's not filled it. I don't know what his intentions were there to do for that time period, but it has been something that I have reflected on since that occurred. I take responsibility in my own actions. I don't feel like I did anything inappropriate or wrong. I can tell you that there was some discrepancy on people were not happy with not seeing me at 9 o'clock in the morning when I'd been there the night before, or different things like that. So, I mean, what's changed me there is maybe a better understanding of where other people are seeing things and where they're coming from, and taking that into consideration more, I think.
Thank you, Josh. Jordan, same question. Voters deserve transparency about significant leadership changes in a candidate's background. Have you ever been removed or asked to resign from a leadership role? If yes, please explain the circumstances, what responsibility you accept for it, and how that experience has prepared you to lead as sheriff.
No, I have not been asked to step down or removed from a position.
Thank you. All right, last question. Start with Jordan on this one. What sets you apart from your opponent and makes you the better candidate?
I'm just going to focus on myself here. So, to me, I have work ethic. I have a heart for law enforcement. This is something that I've been doing for a long time, something I've been passionate about long before I was old enough to even do it. This is something that, for me, I feel that it's better to take the experience that I've gained through working in investigations, leading as the chief deputy at the sheriff's office, teaching with the National Criminal Justice Training Center as far as online child protecting, and taking all that experience, all that ability, pairing it with the work ethic, and bringing it back to this county where I am most passionate about. I didn't move to Macomb for a reason. This is where I enjoy living. This is where my children are growing up and going to school. This is where my family lives. And I think it's imperative that we have strong leadership in this county. Just because we're a small county doesn't mean that we can't have that. And I think that that's what I'm going to bring to the table.
Thank you, Jordan. Josh, same question. What sets you apart from your opponent and makes you the better candidate?
Kind of concentrating on myself as well. What sets me apart, I guess, is commitment and dedication. I serve every day for the last 18 years as a deputy with this county. I've served law enforcement in this county for over 20 years. I want to continue doing that. I want to lead the next generation into the future, and I want to leave the sheriff's office a better place than when I found it. That's my goals. Leadership and investigation experience, I believe I have that as well. On paper, I think that Jordan and I measure up pretty well. The difference that I feel, in my opinion, is all my time has been here, and I've been committed and I've not left. Nothing has driven me out of this job. I hope nothing will.
Thank you, Josh. All right, closing statement time. Since Jordan started with the opening statement, we'll start with Josh and the closing statement. You've got 1 minute.
I want to keep mine pretty short and sweet. I know Audrey was promising people to get out of here by 8:30. It's getting late, and everybody, I want to thank you all for coming. Taking the time to be informed about the election process and who the candidates are is vastly important. Not only voting, but participating in the democratic process. Getting to know who the candidates are so you can make an informed decision to the betterment of your future and your children's future. I feel that as a candidate for sheriff, I am blessed as well. Like Jordan mentioned it earlier, I'm blessed just to be running. I never thought that I would get to this point. I had hopes and aspirations, but I can say in the last 6-7 months in this experience, I've enjoyed getting to know everybody. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to serve you until the end of my career. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Jordan, your closing statement.
Again, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I really do appreciate it. I look at this like one long job interview. And one thing that I will ask you to do is to listen to the things that I have to say, and I want you to go out and talk to the folks that know me, that worked with me, whether that be on the school board, the fire department, in Macomb, at the sheriff's office, former or past, and get your references for me. And that way you know the things that I'm telling you are things that come from my heart, but also the things that I've exuded and proven to other folks that I've worked with. And so I would ask for your support in March, and I do appreciate you guys coming out tonight. If you want, I know there's only a minute to answer these questions, and not always do you get the full context of everything. So please, after this, I'll be here. Talk to me. Hit me up on Facebook, email me. I'd love to come to your house and sit down at your dinner table and talk more about what you are concerned about and what you want to know. It's important for me to make sure that you are fully informed. So anytime you want to talk, have questions, please ask.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, that concludes our candidate forum for this evening. I hope that everybody walks away with this tonight with a little bit of a better understanding of our candidates, of who you plan on voting for. If not, I know that all of these candidates are more than happy to elaborate on anything that they said tonight, answer any additional questions that you might have that did not get asked tonight. So just feel free to reach out to them. If you don't know how to get a hold of them for some reason, reach out to the Hancock County Republican Central Committee. We'll definitely get you in touch with them. Also, there's yard signs lining that back wall right there for most of the candidates. So if there's a candidate that you do want to support and they've got a yard sign back there, I know that they would love it if you grabbed a yard sign and put that in your yard. So once again, thank you everyone for coming. I greatly appreciate your time and have a wonderful evening.